Hi, I'm Kerry, one of the instructors for the Designing a Business course, and I'm here today to answer some of the questions that have come up from you, the learners, throughout this course. If you have an idea for a business and you are not sure how to get started, there is great news, which is that the first prototype you create for this business can be in the form of a story. So what I would encourage you to do is just start telling people about your idea. And as you tell them about the business, you're going to have to figure out who the customer is, where they find it. You're going to figure out what parts of it people like, what parts are confusing or don't make sense. So don't be shy about talking about your business and realize that the story you're telling is a prototype itself. So live prototyping can be intimidating. I've been doing it for years and I still get really nervous and uncertain before I head out to do it. There are a few things that you can do to make it a bit easier on yourself. The first thing that I always do is I grab a buddy. Doing something with someone else makes you feel a bit more confident. You can always rely on that person, right? You're a team, so nothing can really get you down. And that way you have another brain to help you figure out how to prototype and to help you interpret the feedback that you're getting from prototyping. So crafting a value proposition can feel difficult, and it is a really iterative process, and it's worth spending the time getting it right. So you can use prototyping to help you figure out and narrow in on your value proposition, because remember, that value prop is the thing that you uniquely do that no other business is doing, right? It's really capturing why you exist. So I have had it where me and the team, we were working with a startup and we were trying to figure out the value proposition, and we had quite a few that we could choose from. So it was going to be a service around fashion and helping people update their wardrobe. So on one end of the spectrum, we had a value proposition that was just, hey, get some help shopping for a new wardrobe. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we had very specific value propositions, things like have someone help you shop for a special occasion, right? Or have someone help you shop for a job interview. And we weren't sure which of those value propositions was going to be the best way to bring this new offer to market. And so we tested it and we put ads on Facebook, and for a few dollars each, we placed ads with the same kind of consumer, but that had different value propositions, so different ways of describing what that service was. And based on that testing, for maybe $30, there was a clear winner. So it really helped us figure out what the value of the service was going to be to people and how we could then talk about it when we launched it. There are a lot of businesses where the customer, the person you sell to, is not actually the end user. So one example might be if you want to create an all-new, all-natural laundry detergent, you might sell that product to a big retail store because that's where people shop. The retail store is your customer, but it's not your end user, right? The end user is the person who's going to be using your fantastic laundry detergent. So what I would encourage you to do is to think about those two stakeholders, the customer and the end user, a little differently and create a blueprint for each of those. Because if you create the blueprint for each of those, what it's going to do is it's going to let your mind go to the place of designing for each of those stakeholders in a distinct way. An offer and a value proposition are two distinct things. So the value proposition is a pretty short statement on what is the essence of your business. What is it that you uniquely are offering customers or consumers in the market? The offer is how are you doing that? What is it that you're actually delivering to people, whether it's a product or a service or some other type of solution? that helps you deliver on what you're promising through that value proposition. So one example of this could be a car company. So if we think about Ford Motor Company, their value proposition is around designing and delivering American cars for a really diverse audience. Their offer are those cars themselves. So their offer is a Mustang or an Explorer or a pickup truck. Other parts of their offer might be financing, right? Or warranties. So the offer is going to be a way that you deliver on the value proposition that you've defined. Being creative with your revenue model is really thinking about how you charge and when you charge. So one way to think about that would be for how you charge. If we think about a gym, right? Most gyms have a membership model where you sign up and then once a month you pay. But if you're the gym and you want more revenue, you might allow for drop-in classes where people can come in and pay per class rather than having to be members. So that would be an example of how you charge might be a little different. The other part about being creative with your revenue model is when you charge. So a really nice example of this was an airline a few years ago. They realized that when people buy their tickets online, they're already spending a lot of money, and so they don't want to spend all this extra to add them on. So what they did was, when people checked in for their flight at the gate was when the airline offered the chance for people to pay for an upgrade. So 3 months before you fly, you might not want to pay for a better class of seat, but when you're at the gate, you see the masses of people getting on the flight and you're confronted with the reality of having to sit in a tiny space for hours upon hours, that's when you might be really willing to pay for a better kind of seat, right? So they changed when they allowed people to purchase that upgrade. So getting out from behind your desk and going to talk to people can feel really intimidating, especially if you're not trained in design research or ethnography. But I promise you can do it, and I promise it will be so much better than you think. So going to talk to someone, all the same rules hold that you use in daily life, right? Be polite, acknowledge people's time and effort, offer something of yourself, give them your name and what you're doing there. The other thing, which I know folks get so nervous about going to talk to someone because you feel like you don't want to take their time and you're not sure what they're going to say. I've done so many interviews over the years, and what I can promise you is that if you ask someone a question and you show up and you are making eye contact and you are interested in what they have to say and you're nodding and you're being encouraging and you're not talking, you're truly letting them talk, it turns out that people love to talk about themselves. People love being heard. So if you can be that person in that moment for them, if you can really listen to them and acknowledge that their thinking is helping you and that you really care about it, you're going to have a great experience, and I promise it will go really well. Sharing your ideas feels really vulnerable. And what you're experiencing is something that all designers experience. It's really difficult to create something new that hasn't existed before without feeling like that new thing is a reflection of you. So first, know that you're not alone, and how you're feeling is totally normal and experienced by even the most seasoned designer. The next thing to think about is start with a friendly audience, right? If you're actually afraid to share your ideas, start with the people who love you, who will be kind and gentle in giving you feedback. Other things to think about: if you're afraid, you can pretend it's a friend's idea, right? And just be asking for a friend. Or if you're afraid someone's going to say the idea is crazy or would never work, you could preface it by, hey, I think this is crazy, but would just love to know your thoughts. I understand it's really hard to do, but I would really encourage you to share as much as you can, because that really quick sort of first reaction feedback you get is going to really help you shape whatever you have now into something better. So know that even if if it doesn't seem like they're on your side, whatever feedback they're going to give you is going to actually be really helpful for you.